Everybody, Coach Stacy Lynn here. So let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're being a faker? I think most people do, and they are. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about being authentic. What does that really mean? I know when you look at like rocks or diamonds or things like that, it's really easy to pass off a cubic zirconia diamond as real, right? But when you have the real thing, people, you should show it off. I know, right? Actually, this is my 10-year anniversary band. I've been married for 34 years, I think, 33 years, something like that. And this was my 10-year anniversary. And it's real, people. But anyway, I bring this up because yesterday I heard Dr. Gabor Mate say something really profound that I liked what he said. He said, don't try to be authentic. Just notice when you're not. And I was like, that is a good comment. And it's a good comment because you know when you're being a faker, right? You know when you're lying about how you feel about something. You know when you're making things up, when you're pretending. And I thought, you know what, that's really interesting. And so I actually went to my Substack blog and I wrote a little blog about being authentic. Because for me, what you see is what you get. I am not one of these people that actually plays games with people. Now, in the past, when I was in my very early 20s, I totally did. Oh my gosh, I remember I would do things. I would set up scenarios. I would try to trap friends of mine, and I would, do all the stupid things that kids who don't know anything do, right? This is why the older women teach the younger women, hopefully. But I got some good counsel, and I learned how to identify my feelings. I learned how to ask for what I need, and I learned to not avoid those things. And see, a lot of people today, they completely avoid. They are avoidant people on steroids, as I like to say. Totally avoidant. Rather than come out and say, hey, I need to talk to you about something. I felt hurt about something. I don't understand something that you said. Can you please explain something? People ghost you and then they play games with you. Or they try to set you up and then they hope that you'll react in a way that makes them feel comfortable and or gives them the opportunity to attack you outright, right? Because a lot of people are passive aggressive. I am not. I am actually a person that what you see is what you get. And that's one of the benefits to being coached, because if you're somebody, just as an example, I've been thinking a lot about this. If you're somebody who has one-way relationships with people and you're always the one initiating them, or you're somebody who will cling on to dear life for a friend because if you don't, you'll never have a friend, I can coach you, just saying. Because those type of dynamics are really, really unhealthy. They really are. I think what most people want, most normal people, I guess that's all relative, right? But what I think most people desire is to have two-way relationships. A healthy relationship is where you have both give and take. You don't have like, I'm going to use you. You're going to be here for my convenience whenever I feel, I need you. That's just not what real friendship is about. And a lot of friends have ruptures in their relationships because one friend gives more than the other. And, I had somebody a long time ago. And even though this person turned out to be completely nuts, and they really were, and they still are, what they said here really actually made sense to me. They said to me regarding a relationship, they said, I want you to know that you're actually only in this relationship because of this mutual thing you have in common. And actually, that thing turned out to be, it turned out to be true. Because when I set some boundaries and I basically said, you know what, I ain't going to put up with this anymore. You're not going to try to force me to accept something that I don't feel good about accepting. And you can go bye, bye, bye. I love you, but I'm not going to be bullied into changing for you. I am me. And you know that. You know who I am. You knew who I was and am when you got in a relationship with me. So for you now to try to bully me into a different perspective, you already know that. I'm going to choose God over you anyway. I mean, that's the bottom line. And so a lot of times people are in these unhealthy relationships because of their attachment style and how they grew up, right? I know people that will go to the mat for people until they will be abused by people, and they'll justify the abuse just because they cannot let go of that attachment. And I know for me, and I'm sharing this with you because it goes to really being who you are. Congruent, right? So this is, if you don't know what congruency is, it's basically this. It's what you see here is what's really inside. So if you're going to talk to me about something painful, let's say you got raped or something, and you're laughing the whole time that you're doing it, that's not congruent, right? Because you probably disassociated, screamed, or whatever as that was going through. You know, as you get healed, though, you become more congruent. What you see is what you get. And congruent people are stable people. They're not people who are living in chaos constantly. They're not interested, frankly, in chaos. You know, you don't want chaos. Chaos is exactly the opposite of what the Lord has called us to, right? So being authentic, and I love this comment that Gabor Mate said. He's like, you know, notice when you're not. And here's the thing. When are you not real? When are you not authentic? Maybe you were raised in a family system where you, like me, I was the clown. I had to keep everybody together. I made sure everybody felt good, despite the fact that I was the one being the most abused, right? And after a while, after a lot of therapy, I began to realize, you know what? I have value. And my feelings in this relationship are just as valid as yours. And the problem, though, is when you've been raised and you're that scapegoat and stuff, you just put yourself aside and you walk around just people pleasing all the time, hoping that you'll have some type of connection. But the problem is the people that you connect with just want to use you because you are used to attracting those types of people because that's what you were trained to do. So the healthier you get, the fewer friends you're going to have, bottom line. And the reason why is because you will only attract people to you that are healthy. And you know how many healthy people there are in the world? Let's say this is 100%. Basically, you're looking at maybe this, probably this. 90% in my mind of people are not healthy. And that is why you have such a mess all over the place. Because people are pretending constantly. And, you know, it's really funny because when you are authentic, when you're really real, when you are what you see is what you get, you only attract people that are that way. And those are your friends. Case in point. When I moved out of California, one of the best states in the country, people, for weather, not politics, but weather. But when my husband and I moved out of California, we had a going away party, and I invited all the friends that I've been in touch with for a long time, right? Most of my life. Afterwards, my husband and I were talking, and I noted to him, I said, you know, a lot of these people never met each other until today, but you know what they all have in common? They are all people. What you see is what you get. There's no BS. You don't have to worry where you stand with them because they'll tell you, right? And they're not all on the spectrum either, and they're not all neurodivergent either, right? I mean, there's a lot of that stuff going around. Well, if I was neurodivergent, then I can tell you whatever the heck I think, and you can't do anything about it because I'm neurodivergent. Just so y'all know, people, everybody's neurodivergent. We're all neuro something, right? We all have a brain, people. I just had to throw that in there because I've noticed online that neurodivergent people seem to think that they're the only ones that can speak out and tell the truth, and that it's because they're being who they really are. Well, more power to you, right? More power to you, right? But here's the thing. The point of this video is to actually ask yourself when you're not. When are you not being authentic, right? Because those situations will reveal to you what needs to change in your environment. It could be a friend, it could be part of your family system, it could be your attachment style and how you work with people. When you're not being real and honest with people where you're at, you're actually just hurting yourself in the long run. And not only that, this is what I mean. Do you know that most autoimmune issues are tied to people not, and women in particular, majority women, are tied to people not really expressing the truth. You're holding in all of this stuff that you really, really want to express. I actually joked with my therapist many years ago. I said, you know what? Because of what we've done here, you're helping me live longer. Because I'm not holding it in. I'm not being fake, And so here's a question, and I'll end with this. Here's a question you might have, and that is, well, how do I become more authentic in those situations where I realize I'm not? So here's what I do. And it takes time, right? You have to get to know people and all that. But let's say you're in a situation with me and I'm coaching you. Let's say that. Okay. I do this a lot, actually. And my clients will tell you I do this a lot. So let's say my client says something and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, there's the pattern, because I look for patterns. And the fun of doing coaching is that I can be direct. I can say, hey, hold on a minute. And I ask questions. It depends on who it is. I have some clients, I just say, I look at them and go, did you notice what you just said? And they'll go, oh, yeah, oh, you're right. Other people, I might say, would you mind if I gave you some feedback? Ask for permission. If they say no, then that tells you they're not ready for it, right? They might go, oh, it's going to be too painful. I can't hear it. I learned this, though, when I was counseling couples many years ago, because if you have a conflict with another person, if the other person isn't going to give you permission to really be honest, it's because they're not ready yet and they're never going to hear it. So you may as well just forget it right then and there. This is a lot of reasons why friendships fall to the wayside, because certain people will just expect it to be all one way, and then when the other person starts to assert, hey, you know what, I have needs here, my feelings are important, and I would like to express my feelings to you. This is how your behavior has impacted me, and I want you to know this is not okay with me. Right? This is not okay. And the thing is you have to set, and sometimes to be very direct with people, because some people have never, ever, ever been taught how to be in a healthy relationship. I wasn't. I spent a lot of years in my own therapy learning how to do that. And I will tell you, when you begin to communicate in a healthy way and you're authentic all of the time, you will have a long, healthy marriage. If you're married, you will have relationships that go both ways. They won't be all give and take. Now, here's the thing. They won't be all like you're giving and not getting anything in return. But here's the thing. You have to also understand that people are in different stages in their lives. Like for me, all my close friends have grandkids. And so I'm like, all right, well, I know grandkids trump me. That's all right. I don't always like it, but I understand. I don't have that extended family. I am a childless woman, so I don't have the family. I don't have the family issues. So I've had to understand and kind of grown to accept, even though I don't like it, to be honest. I mean, hello. That look, this is what my friends, this is their stage of life. I love them. I respect them. I know they can give me time when they have it, right? But I also have other friends that I know I can hang out with who are in a different stage, and maybe they're going to play pickleball. I have people that I fellowship with, around scripture. So there's different things and different ways that you have to adjust in a relationship. Relationships go both ways. And if you expect them to only go your way, you're going to have no relationships. That's the bottom line. So today, that's my little coaching tip, I suppose, is to ask yourself, when are you not being authentic? And then my other question is, if you struggle with that, would you like me to help you? Because if you would, let me know. You can click my link and contact me, and I'd love to set up a time to talk, because I bet you I could help you identify some of those thinking patterns that you have that actually lead you down that. And then when you're able to get a handle on some of these things will turn around. And frankly, you will have more self-respect than you currently do. And I was telling somebody, I was telling somebody, you know what, you really do treat people how to treat you. If people know that they can take advantage of you, they will. But if you show them you're not going to be treated this way, they'll go someplace else. You don't want a life of chaos. You don't need it, people. You don't need a life of chaos. You need a life of peace. And the Lord has given us that. And all you have to do is examine the life of Jesus and look at who he hung out with. He didn't hang out with chaotic people. He hung out with his disciples who actually wanted to learn from him and do what he said. And I think when you do that, you'll have a better day. Yeah, you will.